Hello, everyone. Welcome to another weekly forecast. And what is currently happening in the markets? We have the markets going a bit crazy. Uh, joking. So the market is going a bit hard bearishness. Why is that happening? Because we had CPI last week that came in at that was it 4.8 month on month for core, and headline was 0.2, which is in line with what you need. And then you start out this massive downfall on DXY, which we're currently still in. We saw the S&P 500 continue to rise. We saw the Nasdaq continue to rise. And what is kind of happening here is what is what is happening. It is the market pricing in, or more than anything else, getting out of positions where they're like, hey, we think there's continuation of higher interest rates is going to happening, and that has not happened. So the market is kind of just getting out of positions. So that's why we have been so strong in a direction. And you have seen this morning that we have come a bit down. I would argue on both dollar, on on euro, on S&P, on British pound, dollar, and then on euro yen we have come a bit further down, and then pound yen we have come even further down. Now, when it comes to the yen pairs, my stand is still bearishness on yen, meaning this one should go higher. That is not synonym that it will go higher today, but there is a good indication that it might, because until the yield curve control is happening. And what is yield curve control? Yield curve control is basically that the Bank of Japan wants to have the bond yield at a certain place. For that to happen, they have to sell. They have to buy a lot of bonds. Now, there's been a battle against the market on that one. So the more they buy, the weaker their currency becomes. Now, so they're trying to control that yield. Now that can be announced later in July that it's going to be less buying of bonds, and that's what initially then will lead to yen strengthening. And if you look at the yen in itself, has been rising a lot lately. So are we at the end of things, or what's the deal? The deal is everything is strengthening except for dollar at this point, where we're scattered around like headless chickens, and everything else is strong. You can see British pound, you can see yen, you can see Australian, at least to an extent at least. We can see the Canadian, we can see the euro, we can see the Swiss, and we can see the British again. So it's kind of like, what is going on here? Um the other kind of the direction that I want us to go in is that it's not as straightforward, right? Hello, everyone. Um, it is not as straightforward as just buy whatever, right? So we have to come down to some kind of trading plan. So our current outlook until the Fed is that we're going to be bearish on dollar. There's only one problem. Okay. There's only one problem here. The problem is called FOMC 26th of July, which the dollar should weaken and then it should strengthen before that meeting. Is this week going to be the week of strengthening before the Fed meeting? Because last week was really weak. That is the only kind of pinpoint I have against the dollar strength. And then I've also seen around that many people are like, what is going on, mate? Like, what's this with all this? What's with all this weakening all of a sudden? Like, it's so crazy. Yeah, hello, school invest. Um, so it's kind of like, Well, this is what happens when people are exiting their positions. Okay, trade setups. Let's go to gold. Um, you would imagine this one to be much higher. This one has not risen as much as euro has. So you have to be very careful about that because it has not gained as much value as it should have in this current market. Now, what is the reason for that? Why hasn't gold in itself risen? Because people haven't exited the positions out of dollar and entered gold, right? That is a very careful. You need to be very careful in that situation. So the easy part is to say, well, we should just come back down to 1940 and then go higher, right? Why? Who wouldn't say that? I would argue that you need to be very careful. Scalp it, pullback, continuation higher. Because once you see something happening in across all the other pairs and not on your pair, don't be like, oh, this is gonna go later. No, this is real time. And if it didn't move in togetherness, something is wrong. Something is up. Right? Hello, Edward. Good morning. So it's kind of like be the better person, be the bigger person in your life, and be like, okay, if this is not moving as much as euro is doing, I'm not going to trade it until it shows me evidence that it's going to go higher. So, Mr. Invest says, what about dollar index this week? I've said weakness. It's a clear cut weakness week, right? So it is kind of like easy peasy lemon squeezy. Um, thank you very much. It was a cool for the 1,100, and I don't know which currency that is actually. Thank you very much, by the way, bro. You don't need to, but I really appreciate it. KRW. What is KRW? KRW. That is South Korean won, correct? Okay, thank you very much. Regardless. Thank you. Yeah. Can't complain about that. Fantastic. Well, thank you. So the dollar weakness is what I'm going to expect this week. It can strengthen, but if it strengthens, then we are just going to be like, okay, cool, we strengthened, get out, and then we'll weaken next week. Why will it weaken next week? Because next week we have FOMC, and with FOMC coming in 10 days, they have to, in my mind, or in my opinion, they have to acknowledge the weakness in the CPI. Though they could be like, we still want to increase interest rates. But if they're going to do that, that takes a bigger. It requires more interest. It requires more guts to do that. So I think they're going to acknowledge the weakness. Therefore, we're going to continue weakening. So if this week, like if it goes against me, if it goes against the weakness, if the could become stronger again, I'll be like, cool, great, I will take it next week then. No worries. So the Australian dollar. Why is Australia having such a deep pullback compared to all the other currencies? It's kind of like what is driving this Australian dollar US dollar pair. There is way more than just a dollar in it. There's a lot of China. There's a lot of China. There's a lot of global risk. There's a lot of other things. So, in a nutshell, I would want this to be higher. I don't like it to be this low. But why wouldn't Euro fall this down this much? Because Euro has America as their biggest trading partner. In euro dollar, I don't know, is it 70%, 80% of euro dollar is dollar? Because one, you have 50% dollar, then you have part of euro is also dollar because there's so much trade between them, like significance of it. So it's not the same thing as trading in dollar index, but it's like not far off. So a lot of the weakness goes to strengthening euro in dollar. It also goes to strengthening Aussie, and it also goes to strengthening New Zealand. But for some reason, other than known to them, they are falling back. Why? Because why? Because of China is not performing as good as they could, and Australia is not performing as good as. So they themselves don't have the engine. It's just dollar in itself, which becomes a one-sided race. So initially, or eventually, sorry, it will fall down. Yen pairs are usually bearish from 20th of July. We'll be looking for that setup to work well this year. I don't know if I agree with you. Season mix. I don't know if I agree. I thought. Well, okay. Wait. My brain is braining. Okay, I apologize. I agree with you, but I don't think it was 20. I think it was 22nd. So in my world, when we jump over to yen pairs, we have euro yen, and we are supposed to raise from 13th. I think it was supposed to be 13th to like 20th July ish. So some years are great, something's not so great, and then we're gonna peak like end of July kind of a thing, and then JPY. Can't even spell it. I do apologize for that. Okay, it's actually earlier, and then peak around 20th. Okay, okay. Which one was I then looking at? Because I thought it was 13th in my brain, and okay, it was 8th then, 10th, 11th, and then peak 22nd. Okay. So yeah, I get well. I know where I have it from. I know where I have it from. My brain is braining because I was looking at it last year. I was looking at the charts, not the actual season X actually. Sorry, season X. You have not misguided me because I was looking around here. So this is 16th of June. Yeah, 13th of July, 12th of July, 13th of July, and then rising until 21st, and then falling off the cliff. So should you be prepared 20th of July for it to fall? Yes, absolutely. So Harry Baker, absolutely schmack to you. You are a goodie. Love you for that. Ojo says, Ivan, what's your fundamental direction for JPY this summer? I'm thinking take profit might cause some JPY strength. Yeah, so if we take this into consideration, like we're supposed to have that kind of a move again this year, you're taking profit on euro is kind of like soon, hopefully at least, and then so I still want this to rise a bit more. So 21st is on Friday. So I still want this week to be up overall, and then we can change turnover. But the fundamental direction is still yen bearishness. But well, we have seen Bank of Japan coming out and say, well, one, we don't like the currency direction so far. Secondly, we don't. We also considering yield curve control or changing it. Sorry. So it's a double-edged sword. Yeah. It's a cool invest. I said thank you, right? Yeah, good. I will never. Somebody smack me hard if I ever become what do you call it in English? Ungrateful for donations or super chats. That always gonna be a blessing to my heart. I feel loved. You feel great. You get yours, I get mine, and you never need to do it but a deeper appreciate if you do. Anyway, pound yen looks like it's turning over a bit now. So my question to myself is, can we hold this 180.50? And if we go down below 180.50, 40, 30, will it make a double bottom and then go higher? So to me, this is a bit more like, I don't know, I want this to make a higher high, higher low. So I would like to buy there. I also could also buy it down here. So I said this morning, with a mentorship with my mentorship students / A1 students, I said, if you're gonna trade pound yen, you have to get an entry here. Wherever your entry is, and if you have been stopped that already, okay, then you tried. But for me, this is like clear cold case of, okay, there's your buy right now. This is your last chance, right? And if you don't take it, sure, I'm not giving any financial advice. This is not the place for you to be. But if you have this as a trading plan, it's a bit deep. I don't like it that much. But this is like this is like the last defense of the market for it to go higher. Right? Last defense of the week. And then I want to go weekly, standard bullish. Okay. So current price is the place to be buyer of pound yen. And if it doesn't, and if it falls down from here, then whatever. Actually, because this should be on as a limit order, which it wasn't on my side, which is my problem. Where's your stop loss supposed to be, Evan? 0, 170, 179.50. 179.5. That becomes a stop loss of 120 pips. 120 pips is good enough for me. It's a bit big, but God knows. Target is 180. What? 184.3. Invalid stop loss, so take profit. Okay, I did something bad there. Ich bin nicht gut Trader. 179.5. 184.4. If you don't like this, I will not like you either. There we go. Good. Gold is good. Good is gold. Yeah. Just had to put a trade on there. I will alert people. Squeeze say trades. Currently bought GJ. And then we'll be at everyone later. Okay. Cool. Why dollar lost strength so much while interest expecting hawkish at next meeting? Okay. So when it comes to markets, I need to go back to my educational parts, but when it comes to markets, it all depends about what the future interest rates are for the next 3 to 6 months. So it's not really about the current meeting. Like the meeting next time now is dead. Like it's gone. It's priced in. It's over. It's whatever. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like it's gone. It's over. It's pricing. So what we are pricing in now is future interest rates that comes down the line of December. Are we still going to be at the same? Are we going to be at the same rate hike level as we have expected previously? No. So so there's one thing is to price down the interest rate expectations for this meeting, but you have to equally also decrease your expectations going forward. So that is not only one increased interest. Not only lowering the increase of interest rate for only one meeting, but for these future meetings as well. All right, cool, good. What I guys wanted to do as of generality, you don't need to, but I wanted to generally focus on my good friends, or not focus on, but I wanted you to read. Excuse me, what are they called? They're called ING today. So ING has, I would say, they are splendid on dollar weakness. If you can just load, that would be great. But everyone can see that, so it's just loading on its side then. Unless I'm lost internet. Should we see load again? Okay, it's just loading. Cool. Okay. Now I want you to look at ING across the board. Is this from today though? No, it's 13th of July. So that doesn't make sense anyways. So I want you to look at ING, and I want you to Forex Live, and I want you to look at the what do you call it? The end of the day, end of the session things, right? What is end of the session things? The end of the session things are a summary of what has happened in that session. And then it's a bit late to look at that, but you need to start somewhere. And if you look at the one that is from like last week, so we say this is a JP Morgan slashes China full year GDP growth forecast to 5 points. That's why Australia and New Zealand is struggling. One reason at least, if I can just find it. But okay, I couldn't find it now. So there is a morning wrap here from the European side. Then I wanted to find the one from Friday. Sorry, but IME, UAU, and what else? So what's the deal? So USD JPY. I'm just gonna do that. So JPY is keeping up its key, holds the key to unlock the next big dollar drop. Technical analysis of gold. ECB says the core inflation remains high and resilient. That means the euro dollar going higher. Woohoo! USD Swissy retains downside bias after falling through the floor. Okay, so that's kind of one thing, and then you can look at the 10-year and expiries. Sorry, my bad. I can't even speak fluently anymore. Sorry, probably have a stroke, but sorry. Secondly, I want you to go through the economic calendar. Now, that is a very difficult thing to do every time, all the time. That's a joke. But what I want you to do, just minimally go through the red impacts. So GDP out of China comes in at 6.3. Expectation was 7.3. Previous was 4.5, which is it's higher, but still lower than expected. So that's not so great. Industrial production comes in better than expected. That's a great thing. So I don't know how to weight it at this point, but still, those are very key drivers of or key important things to look for in China. RBI meeting minutes, retail sales, consumer price out of Canada, consumer price out of New Zealand, consumer price out of UK, and some unemployment change in Australia. So so this is kind of the real deal on Wednesday this week. Tuesday, yeah, CPI. I was gonna move the CAD and maybe up or down, but fair enough. So what is the deal? This is not gonna make you do anything. This is just information for you to be okay. There's things happening. Things might change my direction, but I don't care. All right, I don't care about the future direction. I'm just gonna be like, okay, cool, whatevs. Um, so it's kind of like, what am I gonna do then? What does this mean to me? It's mean that you're gonna look at the trend. You're gonna look at the overall direction. You're gonna look at how high, how low is it. When when UK is expecting CPI coming in at 8.2, what does it mean? 1, it is too high. 3, it is lower than previously. We have peaked, but how much have we peaked? How fast have we peaked? What is the general direction? If this one comes in at 8.5, pound is going to strengthen like a ton of bricks, like a skyrocket, right? At least that's the imaginary thing. Will it? Maybe not. But at least it confirms your bullish bias on pound. If this one comes in at 4% or 4.5, way below, it's gonna plummet. Plummet the CPI. If it just comes up higher than expected, there could be more interest rates. And that's the same thing we did with dollar. When dollar came out with CPI last week, all is the same thing. Is all a reaction to what is currently happening. So currently in profit on the pound yen trade, by the way. Okay. Comic Compliance says, is there any chance to get an opinion on pound CAD? Why are you interested in British pound Canadian dollar? Made some decent profits from last week on technicals, but I have no idea about it fundamentally. Equally, I don't have an opinion there because fundamentally, well, it might be bullish. Because pound should be bullish, and then CAD is it started to raise again, but overall, But then, well, it's pretty decent, straightforward direction. Look for buy 172 again, and Bob's your uncle. It's a straightforward, straight up direction. At this point there is no pullback. At this point there is no pullback. At this point there is no signs of making lower lows. So if it goes back to 172, woohoo, great. But that's just technically, right? And that's what I would argue would be the direction generally as well. So what's the fundamentals on it? The fundamentals on it is pound should be strong because of CPI is still very high, or coming down a bit, but still very high. Compared to any other countries in the G10 countries, at least, as it has the highest CPI. The other problem is that the dollar weakness comes in as bullishness on CAD, comes in as bullishness on pound. Yeah, and then that would also in turn make euro pound range at least compared to euro dollar trading it. Good morning, Kevin. All right, cool. Let me go through the markets one by one, and then we'll take a night. Gold, as I said, new higher high or pullback. U.S. oil is, I don't know. It's a breakout of a range. Technically horrible. I don't like it. Maybe higher high, higher low didn't happen. That low means that we are going to break lower, and then there is a news this morning that I haven't really seen that has made this one a bloop up and down. I don't think that is the Curse Bridge either. Anyways, moving along. Nutgas is doing nutgassing things. Aussie yen came down to Aussie yen came down to M2. CAD yen. Okay, I had a mental this morning. But can somebody tell me in this room, did anybody here buy Canadian dollar, Japanese yen? I know there are people that did it. I have proof. Did anybody do it in this group or right now? Because somebody asked me this morning and said, Ivan, is CAD yen still bullish? And we can collectively just do that. Now, there's no hate to that person, but it shows lack of technical analysis, it shows lack of reversal trade. And if you did buy CAD yen, I would argue with you until I die that you need to have more knowledge, experience of doing reversals of trend. So you can look at you can buy a Aussie yen. Great, this is a great entry at 94. Euro yen, great entry at 155, 31. Pound yen, great entry at 180, 180.50. New Zealand yen, great entry at even 87.33 or somewhere in this direction. But CAD yen is not a reversal pattern position person. So this one came down pretty hard, right? All the yen pairs came down pretty hard. What is that going to make you do? That's just going to make you even stronger in your belief that you are going to be right when you come back down again, because you are not going to be buying up here, but you're buying down there. So I'm getting great incentives to you now that this might be the low for the week. And there is no way I'm going to see that, like Evan Hughes told us to do it. There's no way I'm going to do that. This is financial advice. If that's what you take it as, I'm going to shut up and leave. But technically, this should be have you be interested. And what your entry reasons are and whatever technique you do, totally up to you. Ojo, you're planning to sell what? I thought New Zealand yen had a better entry. Yeah, it was pound yen, euro yen, all has great entries to buy, right? But Ojo, if you're looking to sell, I feel a bit petty for you because you're not understanding this one correctly. Let's take New Zealand yen for example. Because where is your actual sell? Your actual sell is up here. This is in the middle of something. And if it falls down from here, it shouldn't actually be your entry. And then, yes, it has a new lower low. Yes, it has lower, 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 lower lows. And now it has a high and it came back. But I wouldn't sell here or here because this is so much a greater sell. You know, overall thinking, you should be having a holistic approach to the market, which I talked about a lot of in the mentorships conversation, as this being the most important place to look for a sell. And you wait for that in the longest. Now, you can sell these earlier ones, but that's not your main one. That's not where you should be planning for. That's not where you should be aiming for, right? Now, CAD, I can see you're correcting me. Now, the thing is about this one. The only problem about this one, okay, the only problem about the CAD yen is that it is the only one of the yen pairs that is not bullish. And what generally tends to happen with pairs that is generally bullish, but the one is the outliner, it generally tends to join the other ones. And I am currently in this market bullish. I am bullish on yen pairs. So I wouldn't buy. I wouldn't sell it if I was you. Okay. So this is what I want you to know from this week. Last week's US disinflation shock altered the FX landscape, but a few days without key data release would tell us whether the impulse can keep the dollar back on the foot as the FOMC risk draws near. Euro dollar appears to be a bit overstretched in the short term, but could face correction this week. So what does that mean? It means that we had a big shift in the market. It means that we have a big displacement or rearrangement of FX positions. There's FOMC coming. There's a big event coming, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter overall because one meeting in July does not change the outlook of your entire trading career. Because if you're wrong about this week, are you gonna just give up then? Secondly, I'm trying to talk like big. The other thing is July is not a great month. There's not a month where they generally change monetary policy. People are not that job to change to push the market. So I wouldn't expect much from them. I think they were just going to keep whatever they're going to do, just going to keep normal. And then in August or September, I think this next meeting, that's when they're going to change. That's going to lean in. That's when they're going to lean into this bearishness on CPI. But I think that now this time it's just going to be like they're going to acknowledge the shift in CPI, this shift in inflation, and then announce like a policy change or a pause, or not a pause, but like less aggressiveness in September if CPI continues to fall. Eugene! Mine is to say thanks, Mike. Been there for the last 1 year, and I can say, I mean, I mean to you. Thank you, Eugene. Hey, AR, I hope you're all well. Had a nice weekend. I wanted to ask you about seasonality for Q3 for pound dollar. We shall do so. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Okay. So I want you guys to read this one later. It's available somewhere in the group. Now, if you don't, if you hadn't done it already, the other thing is that you need to be able to differentiate a couple of things. What do you call this market? This market is aggressively much higher. It might come down, it might go higher. This is basically a scalping situation. This is a bit of a deeper pullback, so you need it to reverse a bit, higher high, higher low, before you start buying it again. Pound, higher high, higher high. Ugh, where is it? Higher high, higher low. So it can fall a bit more for me. Same thing with New Zealand. Higher high, higher low. Your New Zealand was supposed to be bullish. Submit a double bottom. It's a bit too volatile for me now. I wanted it to be down here like 21st. So if you can do that, that would be great. So dollar pairs continue to look for buys. I don't have very good setups. Well, I have great setups, but it might take an hour or two before they actually cultivate. S&P 500 will have the necessary, what do you call it in English, volatility in an hour or two. So I will wait for that to happen, or take that, or take that kind of a thing, more anything else, and then I will chillax. Most yen pairs during this meeting came down to key levels of support, which, if you're interested in buying, should have made you buy. So, or at least look very close to it. Other than that, I am pretty okay. Last thing to look at is Q3, pound dollar seasonality, and then we can all go and eat something, and then I'll come back to stream on Genetics. Q3 is September, October, November, December. So say Q3 is. Q3. Yeah. Q3 is from July to September. Is it? It's August. Yeah, August, July, August, September. Okay. So I would argue with you that we should have a low in August, then rise. Be very proactive about taking profit around 20th of the month, 20th of September and 20th of October. And we are likely to peak around end of July. So peak end of July, fall, then rise again, either end of October, end of August, or beginning of September. That's generally how I look at things. So if we rise now, up until 28th of July, and we stand on top of 28th of July, will be very prone to take profit if I have anything. So that's at least the deal. All right, people. Have a great day. Thank you very much for cool. Invest for 1,100 South Korean won. I very deeply appreciate you. Thank you very much for joining in. I will be live again in like 30, 45, 51 hours, sorry, 55 minutes from now until our neck. And until then, boom. I'll see you.